Kevin Unrath, my colleague, you can see him in a minute, assigned 1st of April as CEO before having been COO and is also the MD of our European setup, dynaCERT GmbH, where we cover the European market. My name is Bernd Krüper. I'm president and also shareholder of the company and in the board of directors. And jointly, of course, we take care of developing the company and expanding into different geographies besides Canada, where we are coming from. Maybe Kevin, next slide, please. As the more experienced about dynaCERT within the audience know, we are a clean tech company. We are based in Toronto, Canada. We always say we are a post-startup company because we are roughly 20 years old. We have a lot of experience. As everybody knows, hydrogen is not invented, not from us and not brand new. It's more than 100 years from the technology. But of course, what our IP and patents are is really processing in a, let's say, minimax principle with a very small portion of hydrogen and oxygen, which is created via an electrolysis function to have in this minimax process a little sucking in of hydrogen and oxygen into the combustion chamber, and by that, of course, reducing significantly the fuel consumption, majorly diesel, but it works with all fossil fuels. And secondly, reducing significantly emissions, might it be hydrocarbonates or particulate matters, and of course CO2. And by that, optimizing or reducing the TCOs and LCCs, and of course, doing something very positive for the environment. And we are often asked, maybe today as well, about our carbon credit programs. We have already a VERRA certification on the process, means how we data-driven measure the fuel reduction and create and calculate out of that the potential CO2 savings. But Kevin will show it in a minute more in detail. Maybe that as an entry.
Good. Thank you, Bernd. I can take over at that point and give a little bit an overview on the technical side. So first, maybe from my side, also hello to everybody. Some people know me. I was already joining the last IIF. They are still in the function as COO of the company since 1st of April. I'm happy to take over the CEO position from Jim Payne. And I will guide you a little bit through the technology of our products at the end of the day. Some people will know it already. Nevertheless, I will go a little bit into the detail if people are new and want to understand the background of the technology. So we first start with our hardware product, which is basically the basis for everything else which are doing, which is our HydraGEN unit. At the end of the day, we call it transform technology into customer value. What are we doing there? A lot of you know the discussions going around the globe between electric mobility, between hydrogen combustion, fuel cell, maybe combustion engines with alternative fuels, HVO, synthetic fuels. All of these topics are discussed up and down in various regions of the world. At the end of the day, this is all some kind of final solutions a lot of people are talking about. What is different to us, we see ourselves more as a bridge technology. So we are a bridge to some of these final solutions at the end of the day. And we are ready today with our upfitting kit, which is also important, which I will explain in a second. We are not some kind of equipment where you need to exchange the full combustion engine or need to go into the deep, let's say, inner side of the engine. We are an upfit kit which you can easily install on the clean air side, which I also will show in a second. What is the advantage? As I said, we are ready today. We do not need a hydrogen network as it is an on-demand solution. We are producing hydrogen on, if it is a truck, for example, or at, if it is a power genset, the equipment. And we are directly inputting this hydrogen into the engine. I will explain also this in a second. So as you see, we also do not need to store hydrogen. So due to this, we also minimize some of the risks, some people or challenges from hydrogen at the moment. As said, we are an on-demand electrolysis. You can see that gray box there, which is roughly the size of, some of you might still know it, an old computer tower, where we have an electrolyzer inside, and we produce out of distilled water combined with an alkaline solution with KOH, hydrogen and pure oxygen. This unit, as you can see there, is running 85 hours with roughly 2.5 liter of distilled water. In this 85 hours, it's running continuously. Continuously means we get a run signal from the equipment. So as soon as the combustion engine is switched on, also our unit is turning on and is producing a steady amount of hydrogen and pure oxygen. At this unit, which you can see there, we are talking roughly about 0.75 liter of hydrogen and pure oxygen, with a rough amount of 0.5 liter hydrogen and 0.25 liter of pure oxygen. As some of you also might know, a lot of companies at the end of the day separate the hydrogen and the pure oxygen. We don't do this, as we need both for the thermodynamic effect, which I will explain in a second to you. At the end of the day, we use this hydrogen and pure oxygen and insert it into the engine via the clean air pass between an air filter and the turbocharger. Why do we use this position? Basically, it's optimizing or harmonizing the clean air with the hydrogen and the oxygen inside the turbocharger. By this, we get a proper mixture of this into the combustion chamber. And there we come to the thermodynamic effect, as Bernd already explained it shortly. By adding these hydrogen and pure oxygen to the fuel type, as you know, diesel is basically more ignition unfriendly. By adding hydrogen and oxygen, what we reach is more ignition friendliness. To explain it easy, by this, we have a little bit an earlier ignition point, and due to this, we can create a little bit more time of burning during the combustion cycle. Out of this, we are reaching two major effects. One effect is by having more time to burn, and the burn inside the combustion chamber is more complete. So there is less leftover residuals, which is at the end of the day pollution, as Bernd said, particulate matters, things like this. And the second major effect, we increase the efficiency of the transformation of input to output energy, which results at the end of the day in less loss of energy, which basically is heat. And by this, we reduce the amount of fuel, so fuel increased efficiency. And by this also, you reduce the directly correlating emissions out of the fuel. So this is basically the two major effects we reach there. And as you can see also on the right side, this is directly transforming into value for the customer. At the end of the day, it's easy to use. Installation for the unit you can see there. If it is a standard mounting, which I will show you later in a second, it's roughly 2 to 2.5 hours, so it can be installed very quickly. We do not have to touch the engine directly as we go in on the clean air side, as explained, and it's easy to use at the end of the day. So combined with this, and this is leading a little bit to one of the next topics, we also have an ECU inside our product, which is controlling the electrolysis at the end of the day. And combined with this, we have a software package, which we will explain later, called HydraLytica, where we on the one hand side have a dashboard for our unit to control the unit and the unit status and to monitor. And on the other side, also with this software, we can collect fuel consumption data and localization data and a lot of different data packages out of telematics systems from the vehicle. So this is about the technology itself. As I said, I showed one product. Right now already in the presentation. At the end of the day, what we are talking about is a modular concept. So you can see the HG1R, which is our base electrolyzing unit. There is one electrolyzer in there. The other units you can see on the left side, the HG2 or the HG4C and the HG6C, basically is a multiplication on the right side. So it's 4 reactors or 6 reactors inside a bigger box. Or on the left side in the blue unit, it's half a reactor. By this, we are able to serve various displacement ranges of engines. So coming from small engines, 2-liter, like delivery vans, small buses, and things like this, up to really big power generation mining, where we talk about 90-liter displacement of the engines or more. Our current major focus areas are for sure Class 8 trucks. It's mining, oil and gas, power generation. We have installation on smaller trucks, but also on construction equipment. At the moment, we are working on topics such as agriculture and rail transportation. What you can see here is all small examples of our standard installations. For example, on a truck in France, where we in Europe use more side mounting, as there's less space available between the driver cabin and the trailer. So we are using chassis mounting, for example. As you can see here, we also have back of the driver cabin mounting or other mounting locations, as we, for example, in North America have more space available or different locations. We also have installations on harbor cranes, for example, using also the HG1R unit, you can see on their engines. You can see some crawler cranes, for example, in Dubai using our equipment. Here you can see in Vietnam a loader, a big harbor loader for big containers, for example. And as I also mentioned, mining. This is just to give you a little bit an overview about what kind of installations we already serve, that we have standard installation packages, but often we also need to go in customization, means we need to create new mountings, new mounting location, new brackets for new installations. But this is part of what we are doing, and this is also our one of our know-hows there. So that's basically about our HydraGEN hardware product at the end of the day, which is the basis for then the HydraLytica, which is our software product, and as Bernd mentioned later on, the carbon credit product. HydraLytica, as I mentioned, is our own software suite. We are collecting data out of the ECU of our equipment, so out of all the hydrogen units, which is working conditions like the current of the reactor, the level of the distilled water, the production level. So different kind of variables we are measuring and receiving feedback via several ways. So we are able to handle Wi-Fi or wireless LAN if you have a connection, for example, at a stationary application. We are using worldwide SIM cards if it's a mobile installation, like, for example, trucking or things like this. And we also have a base ability to link into satellite networks. That's also possible. Depending on this, for sure, there is a different pricing level behind it. But that's also what we do in customization to stay in contact with our unit at the end of the day. As I said, the HydraGEN product, as explained, is sending these informations, and in the HydraLytica software, the customer has a cockpit where he can see if the unit is running and see the monitoring of the unit, and we have the basis, we have the ability to read out the unit information. And this software product also is used at the end of the day to combine our informations out of our product with informations out of the telematics system of the truck, either via API protocol, direct connection. So there are also various kinds how we connect to the telematics systems. That's basically about the hardware and the software side. And at this point, I would like to hand over to Bernd again to give more update about dynaCERT.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Maybe if we go to the next slide, please. Yeah, as said, the company itself is more than 20 years, and let's say we are in a transition and transformation. Means on the management and top management side, we have with Kevin now as the new CEO replaced Jim Payne, who was heading the company more than 10 years. We have with John Amodeo, also very experienced new CFO and member of the board of directors as well, replacing Jean-Pierre Coulin and myself, as well. Therefore, we are now really a team as a change at the top level. Also very experienced Kevin and John and myself on engine and propulsion systems on the various applications besides the core competence of the company, which is of course electrolysis and cell chemistry. At the end of the day, as Kevin explained, and as you know, it's the combination of cell chemistry and understanding of a propulsion system and the interaction in the combustion chamber and the whole application worldwide. Therefore, we have now also added their competence. Next slide, please. Same we did, and the ones who participated a few times or heard a few times from us, you see from meeting to meeting more and additional people and competences. In the middle, you see Dr. Ingo Windroff, really very capable CTO of the company, former career with MTU and LIPA, there being in charge of mining and engine development, thermodynamics PhD. On the right-hand side, you see Dr. Gerhard Philipp, from the Daimler side, one of the hydrogen and fuel cell experts, also out of the JV Daimler with Ballard, also working with us. And on the left-hand side, you see a new, also very experienced, but new guy to the dynaCERT team, Stefan Müller, with whom we work on the structural topics, mechanic topics, vibration issues. You can imagine as we are used on mining trucks and various really vibrating applications, this helps, of course, having, besides the cell chemistry, additional competences. Next slide, please. Same do we have at the board of directors. We have there a carbon credit specialist with James Tansey, Oxford, and as a professor lecturing in Oxford and elsewhere, and also CEO of a carbon credit company, also being member of our board, and Tanya Roundtree, also very experienced and capable as we are stock listed at the TSX and in Frankfurt and in New York. Also very, very capable in stock exchange, in public listing, and also being a senior director at SIBO. Therefore, also I think known to a lot of participants in the audience. Next slide, please. Therefore, as said, having the management team and the board of directors, which is really capable understanding the business and the applications and also the capital markets. Thirdly, here an update on what happened since last presentation. New CEO Kevin, you see. Secondly, we have, and we did also communicate about that. We have, of course, worldwide various activities, but two major activities geographically wise. One is Mexico, where we have a 3-digit frame agreement already signed and first units being delivered with really very, very big, large fleet operators having first installations there, looking quite successful, having a very capable service and installation partner, which is also with such a technical product very, very important. Secondly, some of you may have seen we are also very active in Vietnam, where we signed various MOUs with technology companies, with the universities, are working on certification and different pilot installations already within short term. We are taking care very seriously. We have been in the last half year now the 5th time in Vietnam, and of course also maybe the 5th time in Mexico. Means cooperating between Toronto, between our German team and the partners on site. And of course, we are participating in various activities where we saw and met some of you guys at the PDAC in Toronto, and of course in various other countries. Next slide, please. And this slide, the ones who saw us or visited us more often, of course, we prepared and are ready and know now really to do a serious manufacturing, or it's majorly an assembly and sourcing, which was under the leadership of Kevin as COO. Then we are in various discussions on, depending on bigger volumes to come, hopefully in Vietnam and Mexico and elsewhere, also India, big discussions where we would then, if we would come soon to bigger volumes, very likely would localize on the sourcing side. And secondly, of course, on the assembly side. Therefore, a lot of players are interested in our product. And as you can imagine, a lot of players are interested in becoming becoming localization partner. And what do we want to do? Of course, we want and have to increase the volume and the turnover by that. And as Kevin explained, we don't have only hardware, we also have software. Therefore, we have with HydraLytica, of course, already a data suite fitting or being adequate and fitting and combined with our hardware, where we will realize soon subscription earnings and are working on carbon credit generation, where also money income should result soon for us and for the operators. And by that, and maybe some of you have already our share, you saw in the last month, weeks, let's say, and months, our share price increased. It reduced a little bit, but still above the level from 3, 4 months ago, based on various activities where we are becoming more and more successful. And hopefully, with these seed units we have out in the field, there will also come more and more turnover, which should help the share price for you and for us.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bernd and Kevin. That's all the time we had. We went 2 minutes over. So now we'll be bringing the next presenter. So thank you very much. We'll be continuing on following the dynaCERT story and maybe see you at the next IIF. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah. Thank you to
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.